Johnny Signorella here, joined with my brother from a different mother, Kevin Perry. We're going to unpack what is, wow, we actually have a real fight in the world of boxing. Anthony Joshua versus Usyk, heavyweight division, coming up on Saturday night on DAZN. Man, I can't wait to unpack this bad boy. Kevin, let's hit it. What's up, Kevin? How we doing today, brother?
I'm doing okay. Not too bad. Interesting weekend of boxing coming up. So like you see here, we're on episode 22 of the Kayonation podcast, and we're going to do today Anthony Joshua versus Oleksandr Usyk, the preview of the big heavyweight fight. Usyk is coming in as the challenger, and he's a former cruiserweight champion. He's undefeated. John, can you give us a little bit more about these guys' statistics, a little bit more in detail, in depth? Just not necessarily an analysis, but just a little bit of a broad overview of both guys.
Absolutely. Well, we got Joshua, who's the superstar in this fight, at 24-1, 22 KOs. He's at 6'6". Okay. He's got a great reach. Also has a knockout percentage of 88%. Okay. So if you look at that, that's pretty incredible. Obviously heavyweights, they bang hard, and Joshua certainly does. Also 8 years as a pro. He's defending his titles. In his last victory, he beat Pulev. And, obviously the big thing that was everyone's topic of conversation in the boxing world was the loss to Andy Ruiz, in which he avenged. He did get knocked out in that first fight, but he avenged it via unanimous decision. Also beat Klitschko, Povetkin, Parker, Takam, Dillian White. Like, these are good fighters. Like, this guy's got really, really good experience. Now, if I go to Usyk, okay, now we all know him from being a cruiserweight, a very, very good boxer, 18-0, 72% KO rate. All right, 13 KOs in that time. So he's not really a big puncher. And as a cruiserweight, if he's not knocking guys out on the regs, going to heavyweight is going to be a little tough. Like Vander Holyfield had to deal with that. And he's compared to Evander Holyfield greatly in a lot of ways. If you look at Usyk, he's 34 years old. He's a southpaw at 6'3", which could be a little bit of a challenge. And I'm going to pick your brain on that in a moment. To Joshua,
can you just take me back there? What were you alluding to? I was just trying to pull up this record here from Usyk. 'Cause he's not as big of a name as Joshua, so I just kind of want to pull up some of the info here so people could see his last few opponents. I mean, if that's what you want to talk about, I just kind of wanted to just show some of his last few fights. Because really, to me, that's what's most significant here is I know people keep talking about how great of a cruiserweight he is. But this is kind of what have you done for me lately?
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to go Janet Jackson on this thing. Eddie Murphy Raw. What have you done for me lately? That's where I was going with this. Yeah.
And he's been highly inactive. I mean, for somebody who's, I think he started pro late, but either way, as far as a professional, Joshua doesn't have a whole lot of fights either. And obviously when you're at the world-class level, like both these guys are, you're not going to be fighting 3-4 times a year. But you can see here, 2020, he only fought once against Derek Chisora. That was his second fight at heavyweight. And then 2019, he fought Chaz Witherspoon, a way past his prime Chaz Witherspoon in 2019. And then in 2018, he fought Tony Bellew. And, he looked pretty good in that fight, but he struggled in the first few rounds, but he figured him out, relatively quickly after about 3-4 rounds. And then, so 2018, he did fight twice. So that was a real. Actually, I'm sorry, he fought 3 times, but that's because he was in that World
Boxing Super Series.
Super
Yep.
Series, and since then he's kind of had promotional issues and whatnot. So but yeah, just I just wanted to look at that real quick. So what are your thoughts his last few fights coming in here? Do you think he's needed more preparation? In my opinion, he definitely needed more preparation at heavyweight, but he's the number 1 contender. So those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts as far as him being ready for this fight? Has he has he had enough experience at heavyweight to give Joshua a run for his money?
That's a great question. The thing is, like we mentioned, the World Boxing Super Series, in which he shined and made a name for himself among boxing fans. He's not a household name. He's not a superstar. This is a chance to do so. Do I think he's got the tools? Yes. Do I think he has the power? I don't know. I mean, it depends like how it transfers over. Like some people can have the argument to say that if you put muscle on and you put weight on, you could hit harder and you could hit stronger. But do you still keep your agility? Do you still keep your ability? There's a lot of things to question here. And you hit the nail on the head, Kevin, is that his past opponents, if you look at them at heavyweight, they're a little bit long in the tooth and past what their better years were. So it's not really a good indication. I think we get a good indication on this night. We got 4 belts at stake. WBA, IBF, WBO, IBO championships on the line. This is high stakes boxing. If Usyk is able to use that southpaw technique, which he's very good at, creating angles, boxing significantly well because he's a very good boxer. And Joshua can be outboxed. We saw in the early stages of the fight with Klitschko, even though they were both conventional fighters, he's susceptible to getting, obviously it's boxing, to get hit. But I think this guy offers a little something different.
Yeah.
I'm not going on record to say anything because my record of late has sucked. So if anyone was betting at the sports books here in Vegas, I have been at a complete obliteration of what I think I know about boxing. But at the end of the day, I think Joshua's size and skill set and experience, like you were mentioning, will prevail. What are your thoughts, Kevin?
I guess the way I look at this fight is I think Joshua has, how would you say it? He has more like different things I think he could do to win the fight because he's got punching power. He's got length. We just had somebody just come into the stream. This your boy right here?
What do we got? I can't see it. What do we got?
Well, let's add him in because he's obviously here for a reason.
Oh, hey, what's up, on, buddy?
How you doing, man?
What's going on? Great to see you. Thanks for joining, bro.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
No problems. Pleasure. It's a pleasure. So you're talking about the fight, right?
That's right. Yes, sir. And so what are your thoughts, brother? What do you got?
I think this will be the toughest. I'm an Anthony Joshua fan, but I think this is the toughest fight. I just think what Usyk has to bring to the table in terms of skill, speed, it's going to be a tough one. It really is. I really do. I think he can actually win. You know what I mean? Like Usyk has a good chance of taking this fight. He really does. I'm really interested to see how I hope Anthony Joshua was taking this individual very serious because again, it's definitely it's that kind of matchup.
Yeah, the thing is that whenever there's a southpaw against conventional, I always look at that's always a factor. Mm-hmm. It's always a tough intangible. I mean, obviously we had that shit show back a couple weeks with Holyfield, and he was fighting a southpaw. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, he's not really good at that look. And even though he's older and he's 58 years old, all the credit in the world to Mr. Commander Evander Holyfield. Southpaw is not easy. It's a very difficult scenario to deal with. What do you say, Kev, about that?
I just what I see is Joshua. He's got the reach advantage. He can box and kind of stink it out, I think, if he needs to, because Usyk is going to have to close the gap at some point, even though he's more of the traditional boxer, but he's not going to be able necessarily to fight that way the whole time. He's going to have to come forward and attack because but at the same time, Joshua, he likes to get most of his damage at mid-range, and that's where he's vulnerable. But I think Usyk is not that big of a puncher, and he's a little bit more of a safety first type of fighter. So I think those dynamics really mean a lot in this fight. I think the last fight that we saw with Joshua and Andy Ruiz, I think if he fights that kind of style, I think he's almost, I wouldn't say impossible to beat, but a shorter fighter will have a hard time beating that style because, it's just ugly. It's kind of what Bernard Hopkins used to do, the jab and then right hand and grab you and then kind of stop your attack on the inside. And I think if he does that, especially considering that Usyk is a southpaw and he's kind of tricky anyways, it's just better to be a little bit more safety first, make sure you don't get caught with anything you don't see. He hasn't fought any southpaws as far as in my knowledge. I don't think he's fought any southpaws as a professional, and to try to get sparring partners that can emulate that tricky style that Usyk has is going to be extremely difficult. So I think just stick to the basics if you're Joshua, and I think that's going to work for him if he does that. He should be able to win a decision or score a knockout.
Well, what do you think, brother? What do you got?
Yeah, see,
the southpaw thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think to me, I was thinking to myself, like, if it's a decision, I think Usyk wins. Like, I just think that Joshua has.
You think
I think it was a decision he wins.
Get a decision in England?
I think he can. I think he can. If it's a decision, I don't think it's a good look for Joshua. Put it that way. I just think.
I guess my assessment is more that if Usyk wins, he's only going to win by decision because I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he has the punching. Well, I don't think it's necessary. He doesn't have the power to knock out Joshua. I think it's more like the mentality of the style that he fights in. He doesn't really sit down on his punches a whole lot. And he wasn't able to stop Derek Chisora, and he did stop Chaz Witherspoon, but he didn't really look all that great in that fight. And obviously, sometimes people fight down to the level of opposition. He's obviously going to be at his best for this fight. He knows what he's up against. He's going to have to make some types of adjustments because he's fighting a guy that's got a huge height and reach advantage. Yeah. I'm just curious to see how he deals with that. And I just don't think he's going to be successful. And especially he's fighting in the other guy's backyard. And Joshua, every time Joshua throws a shot, the crowd's going to go crazy. He's going to have a big influence on the judges. So that's my assessment of the fight. Anything else, John?
I could add a little bit. I think that Joshua taking off some muscle, leaning himself out, is going to give him better stamina. We had a lot of issues with his stamina in the past. We saw it in the Klitschko fight, even though he did turn it around. We certainly saw it in the Andy Ruiz fight, although he got clipped by Andy Ruiz really, really bad. He got hurt, right on the dome, right on the temple, like discombobulating. I think that he has the same mentality that Klitschko had and Lennox Lewis when they revived their career, and just you work behind the jab, use a power right hand, work at a measured pace. Usyk's got to really go fast and hard pace, and that puts him in the danger zone. I think the southpaw look can be very difficult. I do have to favor Joshua here. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. I'm really having a hard time figuring out the prediction of it. And if you guys been listening to me lately, I've been like calling this stuff like garbage. Like I've been wrong on so many levels. I'm like, yeah, Pacquiao's going to kick that guy's ass.
Everybody was wrong there.
Oh man, I've been eating crow. I got people coming after me like, yo, you're a boxing expert. I'm like, I used to be, not really anymore.
It's one thing to analyze a fight, and then it's one thing to actually, pick a winner, because even so for example, people always talk about professional boxers, and some people say, why maybe this guy should become a trainer, or maybe, why don't we have more boxers as referees or more boxers as boxing judges. And the thing is, it's one thing to be able to do something well and be gifted at it, but it's another thing to actually teach something to somebody else. So just because you're, a good fighter doesn't necessarily mean you could actually teach that to somebody else. It's one thing to be a good analyst, but picking fights is kind of like an art. You know what I mean? Like there's some people who are just very extremely good at it, and some people are so, but it doesn't necessarily take away from your knowledge of the sport. It's just sometimes it's very difficult to pick a winner, and there's obviously certain biases and styles that people favor, and that kind of affects a lot of your judgment. So but yeah, John, you've been doing pretty bad lately, but maybe this week you're gonna do good. So who do you got, John?
Don't do this to me. Let's do a round table of predictions. All right. Okay. I got Joshua. I'm going to say stoppage, but I don't want to. I might stoppage myself right now. What about you, Wall? What do you got, brother?
I'm going with Joshua. I want to say he gets him out of there in the 10th.
Okay. I'm going to go with Joshua, but I'm going to go with Joshua by decision. I think Usyk is crafty enough to make it the distance, and I think it's going to be a competitive fight. I just think Joshua is going to pull it out. He's going to probably pull out some of those last rounds, and I think Usyk is going to have to kind of fight in a very uncomfortable manner in the later rounds, and I think that's going to lose him the fight, I think, for the most part.
So how many rounds do you think Usyk gets in the fight? How many rounds do you think he gets in the fight?
I think legitimately I could see him winning about 4 rounds. So maybe 116, 112, because Anthony Joshua did have some issues against Joseph Parker, with just like the safety first kind of style. He wasn't engaging too much. And I think that style might give him some issues, but mind you, he's been in there with some boxers, so he's definitely gained a lot of experience. And I think that's something people overlook is Joshua, he's fought a lot of top heavyweights. He's fought Klitschko. He's fought, Pulev. I mean, he's pretty much out of all the heavyweights. Even if you would want to include Deontay Wilder, I think you could say he has the best resume, that, the most depth. He doesn't have a whole lot of fights like Deontay Wilder, but he's fought a pretty good crop of the bunch. And I think he's looked pretty good in most of his fights. The only fights I've really seen him vulnerable was against Klitschko, and Klitschko's a big puncher. And then Andy Ruiz, I think that was just a miscalculation by him that he was going to get him out of there. Then he got caught and he never recovered. So he's definitely, he's improved, his, how would you say his boxing IQ has improved quite a bit since then.
What I also think, man, is that what it comes down to is that styles makes fights. And I was talking about the southpaw look of Usyk being troublesome for Joshua. Joshua's got a great right hand. What beats the southpaw? A great right hand. Exactly. And if he distances himself properly, he's got the reach advantage here by several inches. That's what she said. But but for 100%, he's definitely got the length on him, okay, and a higher knockout percentage, more like Kevin was saying, experience at heavyweight. Usyk is a really good fighter, and we're waiting to see like what happens in this fight, because the bottom line is like, yes, he's done well at cruiserweight, exceptional at cruiserweight. Cleaned up the World Boxing Super Series. Wow, that was incredible. Came to heavyweight. He looks all right, but now he's in with one of the big boys. And the one thing I could never take away from Joshua is what he did against Klitschko. That was one hell of a battle. He got hurt, and he found a way to win. And with the Andy Ruiz fight, even though he looked like somewhat of an embarrassment to people were saying, he got his ass up. He was discombobulated. He was all messed up. He got his ass off the mat, and he still tried. What did he do in the rematch? He beat the brakes off of that guy. Beat the brakes off of him. So, I mean, we got someone here that I think that sometimes when we look at losses, they could actually be a victory. I don't think Joshua is going to come into this not paying significant attention to detail. I think he's going to come in strong.
Cool. So we all got Joshua in this one. And that's on DAZN, correct? Is that in the afternoon, or can you give us a time frame?
Yeah, it's 12 p.m. Pacific, and I think it would be 3 o'clock Eastern time. And to all those listening, bet against what I'm saying right now.
Oh God,
go against what I'm saying right now.
So
Usyk's gonna win.
I need Joshua to win. I need my mega fight.
The value is on Usyk. I don't know what the odds are. I'm assuming he's probably like a 3-1 underdog or something.
Yeah, something like that.
If you wanted to bet. So moving on, I just wanted to move on to a quick topic before we go, or if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. But I just want to talk about pay-per-view madness. So there's a few pay-per-views coming up, and I'm just curious which ones any of you guys are gonna buy, and what you'll be watching, and if you think these pay-per-views are worth the price. So I think we talked about this last week, but since we have a new guest, I'd like to get some of your thoughts on it. Okay. So first, we're gonna talk. I don't even know what the date is on this one, but we'll just kind of punch this in real quick. So the fight is Teofimo Lopez against George Kambosos. That fight is actually, it's supposed to be on October 4th, which is a Monday. I hear that they're pulling it back. So they might be pulling it to the 16th. There's a pay-per-view on the 9th, which is the big fight. Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. So that's 2 pay-per-views in pretty much almost back-to-back weeks. Will you be buying either of these, or you think they're both pay-per-view worthy? Do you think Kambosos Jr. and Teofimo Lopez is pay-per-view worthy? Is it worth $50? Is it worth $20? Is it worth $100? Is it worth $0? Give us your thoughts.
So I don't. It's funny. Pay-per-view buys. I usually like freeload over people and watch it over their house. But if I had to, if we were talking about paying for it, I wouldn't pay. Teofimo for it'd be like $20, and I like Teofimo. It'd be $20. I would pay $20 to see Teofimo Lopez fight. Obviously, you paying top dollar to see Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I want to see it anyway. Regardless, I know who's going to win, but I want to see. I would pay top dollar.
That one's an $80 pay-per-view. Is that worth the $80 price tag?
I mean, in today's market, yeah, I guess today's market. There's no other than possibly having an Earl Spence Jr. Bud Crawford fight. I guess it would be.
I think that fight might be worth $80.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Has anybody seen George Kambosos Jr. fight at all? Is this guy a good fighter? I mean, I haven't seen.
I don't know. I haven't seen him. That's why.
Have you seen anything on him, John? Is he a legitimate? I'm not going to say he's a legitimate threat, but anybody can win on any given night. Lopez looked excellent against Lomachenko, regardless of what people say that Lomachenko started slow or whatnot. I mean, you only start slow because you're getting hit with something, and that's why you're not throwing back.
Yes.
So whatever the excuse is, you had your shot. Does it warrant a rematch? Probably not. George Kambosos Jr., he's undefeated. He's 19-0, so I mean that means something. This is a life-changing fight for him, and good luck to him. So,
hey, like you said, Kev, anything could happen at any point in time. But, do I think that he's going to win the fight? Again, don't listen to me. I'm on a big lucha streak out here. He's probably going to win if I don't think he's going to win.
16-0 with 12 KOs. So he's kind of a little bit green himself, but he proved himself against Lomachenko that he is the real deal. He talked a whole lot of trash, and I was kind of a little bit I'm like, you know what? You're going to talk all that all that junk, you and your dad, you better go in there and you better make a statement. And, he didn't knock him out, but I mean, he definitely looked like he belonged at the top level. And it doesn't look like any of these other lightweights are really looking for him. It looks like they're just looking elsewhere. So,
they don't want it with him.
Yeah, they don't want to get in there with him.
They don't want it with Teofimo.
So, no, he's very good. Teofimo was very good.
With pay-per-view madness, we also have next month. I'm sorry, not next month, but after October, we're in September right now. We're gonna have a pay-per-view with Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez.
That's it.
I think that's I don't know. Is it worth the price tag? It's probably going to be $80. Caleb Plant is not a big name, but Canelo moves the needle. The pay-per-views are buying it for him. The Mexicans are going to come out with their flags and their headbands like they do every time. Do you live? Where are you located? DC?
Yeah, I'm in DC. Yeah.
Okay.
DC.
So, yeah, we're in Las Vegas, so we see a lot of the events. A lot of the Mexican fans. I mean, they come out in droves. They're very passionate about the sport of boxing. They're passionate about their guy, but at the same time, which is very interesting that a lot of people don't know, is a lot of Latino boxing fans don't like Canelo. Which is
I've heard that already. I've heard that.
Yeah, a lot of them. And I don't know if that's jealousy or whatnot. Kind of because they think he's kind of just picking and choosing his opponents. But that's a story for another day. But this fight coming up, is this worth $80? Is this something that you would buy?
I mean, I would buy it. Again, I would buy it definitely. It's you got. Well, Canelo to me is one of the more entertaining boxers in the game. I just love Canelo Alvarez. I mean, he's the best boxer, period. So it's almost like growing up watching Mike Tyson. Sometimes you didn't care what the opponent was. You're going to pay top dollar. Well, Canelo's not say he's as exciting as Mike, but he's in this generation. He's that guy. So to me, you get somebody who is competitive versus Canelo. It moves the needle. So I would pay $80 to see that fight.
And so that's definitely for most people worth $80. I think we all can agree, and this is just my assessment, is that Canelo's going to win that fight. So if Canelo wins that fight, who would you like to see him fight?
That's tough. Hey, Johnny, you want to take that one? That's
tough. Is that a little bit premature, John? You want to talk about that another time?
Yeah, I think maybe you pulled out a little too quick there, Kev. A little premature. But no, seriously, Benavidez, I think would be a great look. Yeah, that's the guy. I think that would be a great fight. And let me just rewind a couple things. We're talking pay-per-view madness. Remember, like Girls Gone Wild? It's pay-per-view gone wild. It's insane right now what we got going on. Like, I hate to use the word, but go ahead.
Just to cut you off for a second. Is there any other pay-per-views that are scheduled?
I got one for you. I got one for you. Yep.
But go on, John. I'm sorry.
No worries, man. I got one for you. But like the whole thing is like, we all come back to boxing. It's like the bottom line is that it's like the loving's so good sometimes when it's great. It's like the hot chick that you can't get away from. Even though she breaks your ass every once in a while, breaks your balls, you can't get away from it. You got to keep going back. That's boxing. When boxing is at its best, it's the most incredible sport on the planet. John, just
to clear it up real quick. When is that pay-per-view for Canelo and Plant?
It's in November.
Can we pull up it? Let me pull up a date.
The official date, yeah. And they actually had a press conference today in which Canelo shoved Plant really hard, and it didn't look staged. Let me say another thing about this too, is that I love Canelo speaking some English because all he knows is the curse words.
That's so true.
All he knows.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay, what do we got?
So it's the 6th of
early
November. So
yep.
yeah. beginning of pay-per-view madness for the month of November. And we also have, let me just pull it up right here. Another pay-per-view coming up.
Yes, I was going to talk about that. But I want
more money.
Yes, I want to finish this thought, though. Canelo, all he knows is curse words. You know, I mean, I'm sure he knows how to speak more, but everything is like, remember with like Demetrius Andre was like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Like, hilarious. I mean, absolutely. It's and even today he was talking some massive shit. But okay, let's do the Crawford Porter, because this one.
Yeah,
take my money. Take my money.
Take it.
Yeah, take it all. I definitely forgot about that one. That pay-per-view madness. It's really is madness, because I mean, I'm only worth like $2 million. That's how much I'm worth. I don't know how much you guys are worth. So I can afford to buy all these pay-per-views. But what about you guys? Are you gonna buy all of them, or
all of them? No, I'm not buying. I mean, well, I would buy all of them. Like I would buy this one. I would definitely buy this one. This is the fight.
So let's try to break this down before we go. So out of the 4 pay-per-views that we mentioned, can we just list them in order of strength? Like, what's the best, and then what's on the bottom? And John, you can give your assessment too.
All right. So my first would be definitely would be it would be Bud versus Porter. That's number 1.
Okay.
It's so intriguing. Second would be Canelo versus Plant.
Okay.
All right. Third, it was 3, right?
No, there was Tyson Fury.
And Tyson Fury. Wilder. Yeah, I'm good with that. Tyson Fury. Sorry, Tyson Fury, Wilder, and last would be Teofimo.
Okay, so you got Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder's third.
That's my third. Yep.
Okay, and interesting. I mean, that's. I don't think you can really go. I mean, unless you have Teofimo and Kambosos as number 1. I mean, but any order of those other 3, I think, is kind of legitimate. They're all pretty good fights for the most part. I think out of the top 3, we'll just put Kambosos and Teofimo. That's just I'll put that in the my computer trash bin over here. So I think the best pay-per-view out of your top 3, you had number 1 was Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter.
I want to see that one.
I would agree with you there. I think that's the most compelling fight.
Exactly.
That's the one I think that's the most like a 50-50 fight. Even though I definitely favor Crawford, I think Porter is going to give the best effort as an opponent.
Always does. He always does. Yep.
And you, John, what do you? What's your thoughts?
Absolutely, Terrence Crawford. Sean Porter is number 1 on my list. I love it for so many reasons. I love how Terrence Crawford adjusts. He goes from conventional to southpaw. I love watching him fight, and I love Sean Porter as a personality, and also he's so aggressive, man. Like he plays football in there. Like, yes, his style is not the most beautiful. Yes, he probably should have been better in fights that, where he had to win world titles or step up, and lost some of the big ones. But he's just so good. He's so passionate. And I think we get a great version of that. After that.
I just want to interject here just real quick.
Sure.
Talking about Sean Porter. His resume, he's fought some,
he fought hell of people, bro. Yeah.
Sebastian Formella, that was pretty much a tune-up bout. You could see the scorecards 120, 108 across the board.
Right.
But then before that, he fought Errol Spence. Before that, he fought Yordenis Ugas, another world champion. Before that, he fought Danny Garcia, another world champion. Then before that, he fought Adrian Granados, a pretty tough, a tough opponent. Just, a good, solid guy that's going to go rounds with you. Andre Berto was quite a bit past his prime. Keith Thurman, another solid fighter. Adrian Broner, after only 1 defeat to Marcos Maidana. And Eric Bonet is, that's just kind of another, I guess you could say tune-up fight. And then before that, Kell Brook
He saw
in his
some-
first
wow.
world title fight.
Yeah, he fought some
Impressive.
guys. You're
It's
going to go
impressive.
through hell. If you fight him, you're going to go through hell. And notice all of his losses, they're only by decision.
Yes.
Like you're going to pay the price to face Sean Porter. Like he's going to be in you all night long. You know what I'm saying? Like Lionel Richie, he's going all night long, dude. Like for real. Like that's a guy I wouldn't want to fight as a former fighter. Like he doesn't stop. He does not stop. He keeps going. My other fight that I want to see, my second on my list, would definitely be Fury and Wilder 3.
Okay.
We all know I love me some Deontay Wilder. I just please Bomb Squad, come back, show me it.
I think in the sense of, to me, I'm more in line with your boy down there. How you pronounce your name? Wole.
Uh-huh.
So I'm kind of more in line with you in the sense where Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I think, might be a more entertaining fight just because they're heavyweights and they both can punch and there's some history there. And but the thing with Canelo and Plant is undefeated. You don't really know what to expect from Plant. So there's some intrigue there because you want to see Plant in there with the top fighter. He just hasn't really been in there with anybody. So you want to see how he's going to perform. How is he going to be able to give Canelo problems? Is he going to be able to put Canelo, I guess you could say, on the back foot? Because in my mind, to beat Canelo, you got to put him on the back foot. You can't let him gain momentum, especially considering, I mean, the judges are just kind of in his pocket, most of the time. So you have to create an impression that the rounds are not close. And I think if Caleb Plant can do that, I think it could be a very interesting fight. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but I think that's kind of what you got to do. You really got to take it to the champion when you're somebody who's a big underdog.
Great point, Kevs. Wooly, I got to ask you, obviously Caleb Plant's a very good boxer, and Canelo's had complications boxing against Israel Lara, Floyd Mayweather, guys of that nature. Do you think that Plant style could offset Canelo in this fight?
I just think he's going to walk him. I don't think his power is good enough for Canelo. That's my problem. I think that the other boxers had something. They had some punch to it to kind of deter him a little bit within the boxing style too. So I just think that he's going to walk it. I watched Plant's last fight and I studied it. I really studied it. And I was like, Canelo's going to walk you down. Like you want Canelo, he's going to walk you down. Because that's to me, that's my thing. It's not that he'll box him, like he will box him, but when Canelo walks him, like how does he respond to it? Because he's going to walk him, like he is going to walk him down. And how can he take it? Because you're going to have to take, regardless of who you are as a boxer, you're going to have to take it. You're going to have to take it, and then after that, you can kind of move around it. You're going to have to feel you have to be in the fire. With Canelo, you have to. People like Mayweather.
Well, I think the way that Canelo fought Golovkin in the second fight is the way that Caleb Plant needs to fight against Canelo. Yeah, he's got to back him up. He's got to get his respect. Yeah, he doesn't need to sit there in front of him just being a sitting duck. Yeah. But he's got to move him back. If he's got to throw a jab, and kind of like I was saying with Anthony Joshua, where you throw a couple punches, then you tie him up and you push him back. Yeah, that could be very frustrating when a fighter cannot get off on the inside. And if you want to stop his inside attack, that's kind of a strategy that you got to do. And then if you have the wrong kind of referee and then he starts warning you too much, then you got to figure out a different game plan. But I think the referee in that fight is going to be a huge factor, but more than likely it's going to be somebody like Tony Weeks who's going to let Canelo fight on the inside. It's not going to be Kenny Bayless. I'm pretty sure of that.
You got me thinking back like old school HBO days. Jim Lampley, you want to throw some time? Bang! The way Kevin was talking about that, it's like Pacquiao versus, Colati. When I was watching that, I was dying. I don't know about you guys. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Oh yeah, that's classic Jim Lampley. I think he's gonna be working that Triller show.
Yeah, it's a Triller. He's doing Triller.
Yeah, so I think he's the new guy.
I heard he got hired. He was supposed to do the Holyfield thing with Belfort, but he bowed out, and I don't blame him.
I think I was hoping
that would have been embarrassing. Yeah, I don't think he. I think he had too much respect for Holyfield to want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I had delusions of grandeur with that fight, didn't I? So, hey, man, that's the whole reason why I got boxing. I love me some Vander Holyfield. But, all right, so Triller, let me ask you guys a question.
All right.
I think it's wonderful.
I know he does.
You got Al Bernstein getting high. You got Snoop Dogg talking all this crazy. But I think he's the best commentator in boxing right now, guys.
Who's Snoop Dogg?
Yes. I'm telling you.
I mean, I'll be honest with you that
did I smoke the Snoop weed? Is that what's wrong with me?
I'm saying the first card that they did with the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, I think they were fitting for that type of event because it wasn't really boxing per se. It was like more of, how would you say, a novelty act.
Yeah, it was a spectacle. Yeah.
But I think this last card with Holyfield was a little bit more odd to me. You know, they had Donald Trump there. They had Snoop Dogg doing some performance with Marvin Gaye on a screen, which was really kind of odd to me. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I didn't see it. I didn't see that. I haven't gone back and watch it. I haven't seen it.
I saw a little bit of that, and that seemed very just bizarre. So I think some of it is interesting, but at the same time, I think they've kind of lost their way. You know,
well, they're trying to find their footing. Do you guys remember when De La Hoya was commentating and how high he was?
I didn't get to see that.
I saw clips of it.
Oh, bro, that was so funny. He's like, "Let's go, baby." I'm like, what is De La Hoya doing right now? And he's talking all crazy, and he's talking about fighting in 2 months. I'm like, he ain't fighting in 2 months. That I got right, people. People listening, he obviously bowed out. And unfortunately, my homeboy had to come in, and Holyfield got annihilated.
They're back in talks again, and they are supposed to fight, I think, in November. So
Belfort or Mayweather?
No, he's going to fight Belfort. That's So, I mean, that's more pay-per-view madness. It's like, we were talking about earlier.
Pay-per-view gone wild, bro.
Yeah, pay-per-view gone wild. That's right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we go?
No, it's a pleasure being on your show. Appreciate it.
Oh, hey, it was great having you, man. Could you tell us about your show, please? Because you have a great show, and I've had the honor of being on it many times. Thank you.
Oh well, Johnny's been on it because Johnny's just dope. Our show is called The Urban Sports Scene. It's located here in the DMV. That's the Washington D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. And we talk about all sports, pretty much a lot of local sports. We talk a lot of boxing. We talk basketball, football, baseball at times, sometimes hockey, depending on the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, we try, try to keep our noses into the temperature of all sports and whatnot. But as Johnny knows, we love talking boxing. We feel like it's an untapped sport that no one really dives into, and such a great sport. Like, and especially like Johnny said, when it's going good, there's nothing better in terms of a sporting event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we were kind of robbed in the summer because we were supposed to have like an awesome summer of boxing until we had some injuries and whatnot. Yeah. But
and usually boxing is pretty dead in the summer, so it's like exciting when you hear about a bunch of events in the summertime. And
exactly.
Unfortunately, they didn't happen.
Yeah.
So just to allude to your show, Big announcement today. I'm sure you know about it, about our basketball brother Ben Simmons.
Yes,
from the Sixers. He's not going to be coming back, so that's definitely be a topic that you guys will be talking about in your show, I'm sure.
Definitely.
That's probably the story of the day to me. So I'm a big Sixers fan. So
we have a lot of boxing to talk about because there's so much going on. Manny Pacquiao's statement about seeming like he's going to retire and things of that sort.
Yeah. Running for president.
Yeah, running for president, but I mean, he should have retired. Man, disappointed. I was so disappointed he lost. So that's a whole different discussion. But yeah.
I was so sad. because I saw the writing on the wall. And you know what? I mean, his opponent was so amazing that night. He was
night.
firing on all cylinders, man. He had a game plan.
He did.
You know, he had a game plan, and that's what it takes. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna pick your brain on football. All right.
Yeah.
So I was a Giants fan, and I'm not a fair weather fan.
Okay.
You know, but I've just had enough of the Giants. I'm done. I'm done with the Giants. So talking some football, I got the Raiders out here in Vegas right now. We're 2-0. Been loving it.
Word.
And my wife she's a 49ers fan. They're 2-0. So now I have two favorite teams in football. And the games the football season's come back in a strong way, man. These games have been really good. What's your team right now, man?
Well, I've always been a Washington football team fan. They just beat the Giants.
Yeah.
I grew up in this area. Yeah. So I've always been a diehard fan. It's like a blessing to cover the team. But in terms of they're struggling. They're even in wins, they're struggling. But in terms of the teams that you're referring to, like the Raiders and the Niners, they're both two strong teams. And one thing I love about the Raiders, I actually am a big Derek Carr fan. I think Derek Carr is an excellent young quarterback. I don't think he gets a lot of respect. A lot of people they're always trying to get him out of I was going to say Oakland, Las Vegas now. Yeah. They're always trying to get him off the Raiders. But he's a kid that to me has a lot of ability, and more than anything, just watching him from a distance, he just seems like a really good guy. Like he looks like a real good guy, a guy that people like playing for and playing with. So I always root for him. Like for the Raiders, I root for him. I just think that he just from a distance. I don't know the kid, but he just seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, they seem like a team that is obviously finding their way. And as far as the quarterback, like you're absolutely correct. Like what I notice is like the biggest play for a quarterback is the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And this guy shows his intestinal fortitude. He comes through and he's learning on the job essentially, but he's hitting the mark. He's only going to get better, you would think, right?
Of course.
And at first I was telling, my wife, I'm like, I might join the 49er squad, but I'm like, man, I think I'm Team Raiders.
Yeah.
And then she's like, they're probably going to end up losing then. They're going to end up losing then.
Hey, the Niners are tough.
No, that's right. You're the bad luck charm. So
I'm telling you. Remember the movie Bronx Tale when they put the guy in the bathroom because he can't win any money? That's pretty much like what they got to do with me. With Hey, you guys are fantastic. I appreciate you all so much. Kevin, what about your social media, man? Plug it.
Oh, it's Kevin at Vegas Valley Video. That's me on Instagram. And Wooly, what's your how can people reach you?
Oh, you find me on Twitter. Now I have my own personal Twitter one because I wanted to be a little bit more raunchy on my own Twitter. So it's at Wole_USS. And on Instagram, you can catch me at WALEO32.
Right on. And then also, I just wanted to add, this is on the Platinum Fights YouTube channel. Platinum Fights YouTube channel. You can find a bunch of different classic fights on there. I got maybe 40, 50 videos. I still have tons of videos I've archived over the years. I'll probably upload more at some point. I've just kind of put that on the back burner for a while, but you can catch all the shows on delay on Platinum Fights YouTube channel. You can also catch them on Johnny's page. And what's that, Johnny?
Chatterbait.
No.
You can catch me on Chatterbait. I usually stream between 5. Now, guys, in all seriousness, just look up Johnny Signorella or John Signorella. I'm going to spell this out for you guys. Not the slipper, not the glass slipper, not Cinderella. Signorella. And if you want to pay for me on Chatterbait, I'm available.
Oh man,
I'm free all afternoon. So no, but for real. I'm on Audio Boom, iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, Google, all that good stuff. Just type in "Sit Down with Johnny Sig." I'm everywhere. I'm all over the place. And especially on Chatterbait, donations are appreciated.
Word. So 2 weeks in a row at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. We'll see if we can keep this consistent. You know,
wow, Kev, look at us. We're actually doing a good job.
My schedule is crazy, and
awesome.
you're more than welcome to come on the show anytime. Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, so till next time, hopefully we get another show in a post-fight show. Maybe we'll try to do an instant reaction this time after the Joshua and Usyk fight, and then we'll do another Tuesday show.
That would be fun.
Until then, next time, till this episode 22 Kayonation podcast.
Unbelievable! You want to throw sometime? Bang! Oh, my God! Okay, Chip. 7 rounds to 2.
Hey, that was awesome, man.